Hello, students. This is Teacher Josh. We're taking a look at the Unit 2 reading test. So I picked a story from study.com, and I'm going to read the story to you. Please follow along, and then we'll take a look at the test at the end here. Okay, so this is called The Connection Between Food, Culture, and Society. Important elements of societal bonding in a community are a connection between cuisine, cultural trends, and societal values. Learn more about food, culture, society, cultural heritage, and its elements, and how globalization affects us. Food, culture, and society. Do you have childhood memories of eating a favorite food? Maybe you remember how you eagerly anticipated ending each holiday meal with your grandmother's sensational strawberry shortcake, or how your dad made Saturday mornings extra special by serving up his famous chocolate chip pancakes. If you stop and think about it, you probably associate some of your favorite foods with family memories. Food is clearly important for nutrition, but it's also meaningful to humans in other ways. Think about it. We're the only mammals that cook our food. This makes our consumption of nutrients much different. Culturally speaking, food is very important. Food can be nostalgic and provide important connections to our family or our nation. Food can be a bridge that helps immigrants find their place in a new society. Food can have a number of different meanings that might not be immediate to us when, for example, we take our first bite of our favorite dinner. In this lesson, we'll talk about some of the ways in which food, culture, and society are connected. Food and world cultures. Think of the expression, to break bread with someone. This is referring to the way that food brings people together and is important in our relationships. Anthropologist Margaret Mead famously wrote about how food is regifted. What Mead meant by this is that food provides us with something more symbolic than simply nutrition, though that's certainly important. Food is meant to be exchanged and shared with family and friends. Let's look at how food and culture relate. Cultural heritage. Food provides an important link to our cultural heritage. Imagine an Italian godmother who immigrated to the United States and is teaching her grandchildren who have never been to Italy how to make an authentic Italian meal. This is an important experience in maintaining connections to one's cultural heritage. Food also has been used in less positive ways. For example, during periods of colonialism in Africa and other parts of the world, colonizers used food as a way to erase local cultures and incorporate local peoples into European systems of domination. So when you order from an Indian restaurant, you might not be eating something that is authentically Indian. Instead, it might be a dish that was introduced by British colonizers. Habits. Cultures also differ in the types of habits they associate with food. For example, in some cultures, it is common to eat with your hands. In other places, however, this is considered rude. Or at the very least, you'll get some odd looks from your dinner companions. Sometimes finishing all of the food on your plate is considered polite, whereas in other contexts, it signals to your host that he or she did not feed you enough. Regional and ritual. Food is also tied to religion and ritual. In some religions, such as Hinduism, followers generally avoid eating meat, particularly cows, since they are considered sacred animals by many Hindu sects. Food can help us feel like we're part of a bigger group or that we have a special link to a particular community, like a religious group. Everything from a tribe in Papua New Guinea roasting pigs for a ceremony to an American child celebrating his birthday with a frosted cake points to the importance of food for our rituals. The anthropologist Claude Lévi-Strauss once observed that we save our fanciest food items for special occasions. He suggested that this is in part because we like to use food to impress other people. So you probably won't break out of caviar by yourself for a week, break out the caviar by yourself for a weekday lunch, but you might for a Saturday evening dinner party. Globalization. Certain foods also have global reach. Think of McDonald's. This chain is now located in nearly every country of the world. Globalization, or the social, economic, and cultural phenomenon that bridges vastly different places, also involves food. Different dishes find their way around the world thanks to technology and the rapid transfer of information, goods, and services. Food and society. Food also tells us important things about the society in which we live. One important relationship is that between food and social class. Think about the types of restaurants where you can afford to eat compared to those frequented by a friend who earns more money. Or go all the way back to your grade school days and remember the differences in quality and quantity of the meals eaten by those at your lunch table. In some places, the availability of foods is taken for granted. A large portion of the world's population lives without enough food, enough to eat. Studies show that people of lower socioeconomic status eat more poorly than those who have more economic resources. In this lesson, we've gone over some of the important connections among food, culture, and society. Food is an important part of cultural heritage and national identity. It can connect us to people and places, bringing friends and families together, and food habits, such as whether you should eat all of the food on your plate, vary across the globe. All right. So when we come back, we're going to take a look at the actual quiz and kind of think about where, well, you know what? Let's jump over and take a look real quick. Let's look at the questions first of all. All right. It says, worksheet. This is actually a quiz. The connection between food culture and society. All right, so question number one. Some people have much easier access to enough healthy food because they have greater economic resources. This gets at the relationship between food and colonialism, food and culture, food and social class, or food and society. All right, good question. Number 2, an immigrant in a new country finds comfort in discovering a restaurant that makes dishes from his home nation. This is likely because food has a universal meaning. Food is generally the same everywhere. Food is an important link to memories of his home nation. Food is the best way for immigrants to assimilate. Okay. Question number 3, growing up, you always had a birthday cake. This is an example of a food memory, a food culture, a food ritual, a food symbol. And then number 4, sometimes a dish we think is authentic is a particular country to a particular country was actually introduced by a different country, sometimes through a system of domination. This is known as cultural appropriation, colonialism, ritualism, or globalization. Question 5. Today, you might find your favorite fast food restaurant when you travel to a distant country. This is due to the process of ritualism, assimilation, globalization, or colonialism. All right. So there's 5 questions. When we come back, we'll take a look at the actual test answers and try to see why those answers are correct from the actual reading. All right. Thank you, students. We'll see you back here soon. Bye now.